So you are American. The American passport allows you to enter visa-free or visa on arrival in about 185 countries. This ranks the American passport among the most powerful passports in the world. I don't want to surprise you here because Americans are famous all over the world. However, not everywhere is sunshine and rainbows, and for many reasons. Some countries have a bit of a cold air when it comes to rolling out the red carpet for people from the United States. There are countries that even if you gave you gold and jewels, you wouldn't dare go. Guess which countries are they? Well, in this video you will know each country one by one. So I really hope to get 1,000 likes for this video. Hope you watch the whole video and have a lot of happiness in life.
Number 1.
Afghanistan, with a population of about 38 million, is now known as one of the most dangerous places for Americans. You may remember the horrific events of September 11, 2001. American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175 crashed into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center complex in Lower Manhattan. Within 1 hour and 42 minutes, both 110-story towers collapsed. The collapse of the World Trade Center set off the collapse of the other World Trade Center structures. The third flight, American Airlines Flight 77, crashed into the west side of the Pentagon, headquarters of the U.S. military, in Arlington County, Virginia, causing a partial collapse. Immediately after the attacks, suspicion quickly fell on Al-Qaeda. The United States responded by launching the war on terror and invading Afghanistan to oust the Taliban, which had refused to comply with U.S. demands to expel Al-Qaeda from Afghanistan and extradite its leader Osama bin Laden. Although bin Laden initially denied any involvement, in 2004 he officially admitted responsibility for the attacks. After living in hiding for nearly a decade, bin Laden was assassinated in a U.S. military raid in Pakistan in 2011. This war on terror not only left a deep mark on the history of the two countries, but also became the source of deep hatred between the Taliban and the United States. The Taliban viewed the United States as an aggressor, while the United States relentlessly punished the Taliban and terrorist groups, making American citizens the main targets in the conflicts. A clear example of the dangers in Afghanistan is the kidnapping of CIA officer David Rhodey in 2008. Held for more than 7 months by the Taliban, he faced dark days in prison before narrowly escaping. This is just one of many cases in which American citizens have become hostages in the hands of notorious armed groups. The Taliban have not hesitated to use American hostages as pawns in negotiations with Washington. The threat of execution is just part of this dangerous political game. Rescue attempts, even by elite forces, have often failed due to the rugged terrain and the secrecy of the Taliban and terrorist groups. Each negotiation is a life or death race with unpredictable outcomes. Afghanistan, a land that has long been a hotbed of conflict and terrorism, has become more dangerous than ever since the Taliban took control in 2021. With the continued presence of terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, Afghanistan has become a dangerous place for American citizens. Every step they take could lead to a kidnapping or attack, where visiting not only puts their lives at risk, but also puts them at the center of a geopolitical war in which Americans are the primary target. The U.S. State Department has issued its highest warning, advising its citizens not to travel to the country due to the risk of kidnapping, illegal detention, and terrorism. Terrorist groups in Afghanistan see Americans as their top targets, and traveling there is tantamount to voluntarily putting yourself in their clutches. Visa challenge. Applying for a visa to Afghanistan is nothing short of a risky ordeal. U.S. citizens must have a valid passport and an Afghan visa to enter the country, but even after passing this test, hostility toward Americans remains high. There have been numerous cases of visitors being deported or having their passports confiscated. And if you think getting a visa on arrival might be a way out, think again. That process requires letters from the Afghan Ministry of Tourism or Ministry of Information and Culture. Tourist visas are valid for single entry and a maximum stay of 1 month.
If you like this video content, please take 5 seconds to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to support me and not miss any new videos. I always bring you interesting, useful, and creative videos. Join our community to learn and discover more wonderful things together.
Number 2.
Iraq, with a population of around 40 million, has had a tumultuous relationship with the United States since the Gulf War, 1990 to 1991. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, the United States led a military coalition to liberate the country. As a result, Iraq was placed under heavy sanctions and international surveillance. Then in 2003, the United States intervened again, this time under the pretext of destroying weapons of mass destruction that Iraq was believed to possess. This war not only led to the overthrow of Saddam Hussein's regime, but also left many serious consequences, leading to prolonged instability and internal conflicts between Sunni, Shia, and Kurdish factions. The U.S. intervention worsened the situation, increasing conflict and suffering for the Iraqi people. Iraq is also home to one of the world's largest oil reserves, and the struggle for control of these resources has become a major part of the conflict between major powers, including the United States. Since the 2003 war, the relationship between the two countries has become more complicated than ever, with many wounds still unhealed in Iraqi society. Although the U.S. withdrew most of its troops in 2011, a military presence has been maintained to support Iraqi forces in the fight against ISIS. This has led to strong opposition from militia groups and Iraqi politicians who feel their national sovereignty has been violated. Iran has also increased its influence in Iraq, supporting Shia militia groups, which has further raised concerns from the U.S. and its allies about Iran's expanding influence in the region. The security situation in Iraq is a dangerous tightrope walk across a canyon, where the slightest mistake can lead to disaster. Many armed groups remain active, and the Iraqi government has been accused of using torture and inhumane treatment. Daily life in Iraq is a constant battle between life and death, and for Americans, being targeted by armed groups or being treated cruelly by government officials is inevitable. Furthermore, the visa application process to enter Iraq is equally complicated. Imagine solving a Rubik's Cube while blindfolded. That's how it feels to be an American trying to get a visa to Iraq. While you can get a visa at the airport, getting a valid exit stamp in your passport is a tough battle. Processing times can take up to 12 business hours, and even if you make it through the red tape, you may still feel unwelcome upon arriving in the country. Today, Iraq is no longer the welcoming place for American travelers it once was. Terrorism, violence, and kidnapping are a constant threat, and every trip here carries with it unpredictable dangers. Traveling to Iraq is like entering a thorny maze where the exit may never be seen again. For Americans, Iraq is not only a challenging and dangerous land, but also a place marked by the deep wounds of war. Applying for a visa is just a small part of this arduous journey, and with threats from armed groups, the fight for survival in Iraq is far from over.
Number 3.
Iran, an ancient land with a population of about 83 million people, where history, culture, and breathtaking landscapes come together. But beneath that beauty lies a tumultuous relationship with the United States. All of the current tensions have their roots in the 1979 Islamic Revolution and the hostage crisis that followed. At that time, a group of Iranian students seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, turning the situation into a 444-day standoff. Imagine being stuck in a situation where time seemed to drag on forever. That's exactly what American diplomats faced during the 444-day hostage crisis at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. This event cemented the animosity between Iran and the United States. Decades of tension, sanctions, and hostility have made traveling to Iran a life-or-death experience for Americans. Americans are often seen as invaders or spies, even when they are visiting the country for peaceful purposes. Coupled with the tough U.S. sanctions over Iran's nuclear program and the assassination of General Qasem Soleimani in 2020, relations have been on the brink of collapse. The U.S. and Iran have been at loggerheads for decades, and there is no sign of things improving anytime soon. The U.S. State Department has not only issued a Level 4 travel advisory for Iran, the highest level, but also warned of the risk of terrorism, civil unrest, and especially the risk of arbitrary detention. Detention of U.S. citizens is not uncommon in Iran, especially those with dual citizenship. A single unfounded charge like espionage or threatening national security can send a U.S. citizen to jail without trial, and the story behind bars is never simple. The visa process is tough. Want to go to Iran? Prepare for a challenging journey. The visa application process is like running an obstacle course. Americans have to wait 1 to 3 months just to get a response to their application. And that's just the beginning. After applying for a visa, you may have to wait days or even weeks for the formalities to be completed at the embassy. And once you have your visa, remember that your credit or debit cards will not work in Iran. International payment systems like Visa or MasterCard are non-existent in the bustling bazaars. You'll need to carry cash or be prepared to engage in direct bartering. Despite its many challenges, Iran remains a fascinating country. From the bustling bazaars of Tehran to ancient ruins like Persepolis, Iran's cultural and historical riches are undeniable. But as an American, you'll always feel the political complexity lurking in every street, every eye watching. Iranians are often incredibly hospitable, but that doesn't mean you should let your guard down. One small mistake, and you could find yourself in the crosshairs of security forces, or worse, caught in the never-ending hostility between the two countries. Iran is not only a country of stunning scenery and rich culture, but it's also a risky place for Americans. Any American who visits Iran faces a complex system of procedures, along with the risk of arrest and detention. While you can discover wonderful things in Iran, you need to be vigilant about the risks you may face with every step you take in this volatile land.
If you like this video content, please take 5 seconds to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to support me and not miss any new videos. I always bring you interesting, useful, and creative videos. Join our community to learn and discover more wonderful things together.
Number 4.
Think of North Korea, a country of 25 million people, as a mysterious neighbor you never want to invite to a party. Yet you know they're watching your every move through the cracks in your door. The tense relationship between the United States and North Korea has been going on for decades, overshadowed by nuclear threats and a war that has never really ended since the 1953 armistice. The most intense tensions have been over North Korea's nuclear program and missile tests. The climax came in 2017, when Pyongyang test-fired an intercontinental ballistic missile, sending shockwaves around the world. A hidden war has been brewing between the two countries, and it could explode into open conflict at any moment. A warning to Americans: dangerous trip. It's no surprise that the U.S. government warns its citizens against traveling to North Korea. The risk of arbitrary arrest and long-term detention here is high. The case of Otto Warmbier, which shocked the world, is the clearest proof. Warmbier, an American student, was accused of stealing a propaganda poster and imprisoned. After a long period of detention in harsh conditions, he was returned in a coma and died shortly thereafter. Otto's story is a chilling reminder that no amount of caution is enough when entering North Korea. Travel ban: the wall that keeps Americans apart. After Otto's incident, the U.S. government decided to take action. Since September 1, 2017, the U.S. has officially banned its citizens from traveling to North Korea, except in special cases. Like a large no-entry sign hanging on the country's doorstep, it has kept out curious travelers who want to explore the mysterious land. Before the ban, simply getting a visa was a daunting task, like asking a politician to answer a question directly. Even with a visa, visitors were never free to travel. They had to go through specialized tour companies, joining groups under strict supervision. You were never alone, always accompanied by a guide to make sure you didn't cross the line, literally or figuratively. Harsh laws. One misstep, a lifetime of regret. If you were lucky enough to make it past all the barriers and set foot in North Korea, you would quickly realize that you were entering a space where freedom was a luxury. Everything you saw or photographed was tightly controlled. Don't expect friendly conversations with locals, as any unauthorized exchanges are illegal. One thoughtless joke about the country's leadership can send you into an unthinkable situation, and the consequences will come as quickly as rushing water. Freedom of speech, something Americans take for granted, is a pipe dream here. Traveling to North Korea is a journey on a fragile eggshell, and one wrong step can turn the trip into a terrifying nightmare. Strict surveillance, all eyes on you. The feeling of being constantly watched in North Korea is truly terrifying. Every gesture, every word can be misunderstood, and these misunderstandings often lead to terrible consequences. Even completing the visa procedures is complicated enough, but the real risk is the risk of being detained for unpredictable reasons. This forbidden land may be alluring with its mystery, but remember, curiosity killed the cat, and in North Korea, you don't have 9 lives to escape with. North Korea. A life and death challenge for Americans. For Americans, North Korea is not just a mysterious tourist destination, but also a test of the limits of survival. It is a country where any move can lead to unforeseen consequences, where even doing everything right can lead to the most horrifying consequences. There is no place quite like North Korea, and not everyone is brave enough to face the potential dangers there.
Thanks for watching the video. Remember to watch part 2. Have a nice day.